disrupted.
America that I fought.
Weird thing to happen. Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. Been a fantastic day so far. So there's big beef happening right now between television host Jimmy Kimmel and NFL quarterback Aaron Rodgers, because apparently the Epstein List has finally came out, ladies and gentlemen. We finally have a little bit more information on just how big this cultish kind of pedophile, sex trade, pandering, how far this goes into the Hollywood elites, to the political dynasties, into all kinds and all sorts. We're finally getting more information as it's being unfolded, ladies and gentlemen. And as the list was being run out, Aaron Rodgers mentioned it on a podcast. And he mentioned a particular television host, Jimmy Kimmel, as being part of this list. And that was one of the things that started this big controversy. Jimmy Kimmel is actually trending on Twitter right now, which is probably the first thing that he's ever, his name actually comes up famously now for. Because let's face it, Jimmy Kimmel, he was good on Ben Stein. He had some good zingers when he did the game show host, but as far as that, he is a scum. And I'm saying that in the nicest way possible. There's a lot to say about Jimmy Kimmel. And the fact that they refer to him as a comedian is insulting. Consider the fact of all these stand-up comics and the people that actually wrote for comedy and actually dedicate their livelihoods to making people laugh. Calling Jimmy Kimmel a comic, calling Jimmy Kimmel a comedian is the most degrading, insulting thing to comedy. You know, it's as insulting as Joy Behar insisting herself as a comedian. I mean, she actually did stand up, but her stand up is absolutely dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. It's mostly just her bitching about her days as a teacher. Like, it's not comedy. It's repulsive. And the fact that she endorses herself, she's a self-identified comedian, is just, it's so heartbreaking. So this is on the Pat McAfee Show and on ESPN, and Aaron Rodgers is there in the middle, and they bring up the news. It was a breaking story that Jeffrey Epstein's clientele list, his associate list, was going to get revealed. And this is what they had to say.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it up, Foxy or somebody back there.
Seats on it.
Bring up Super Bowl 58.
You'll see it.
The emblem, put it on the screen. And then bring up 57 and 56.
This has something to do with the Epstein list that came out?
Feels like.
That's supposed to be coming out soon.
Look, this guy's been waiting in his wine cellar.
Yeah.
I've been waiting in my wine cellar for this thing.
A lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are really hoping that doesn't
All right. Obviously, a clip from this particular program was run on Jimmy Kimmel's show whenever Aaron brought up the list, and then Jimmy mocked him for it. Mm-hmm. Aaron has not forgotten about that, but here we are, sitting right in front of that nice bottle of scotch. Mm-hmm. What do you say? I'm waiting to celebrate something.
Oh, yeah.
So this intended was a joke. The reason his name was brought up was intended as a joke, because what he said there was, this is all because there was a back and forth beforehand when Aaron Rodgers appeared. I think it was on Bill Maher's podcast show, Club Random. And Aaron Rodgers mentioned about Epstein, mentioned about the list. And Jimmy Kimmel picked up on that. He did a few jokes on his late night show about how Aaron Rodgers was like this QAnon crazy nut, and this NFL player is not following the rules of lives, and you know he's a COVID conspirator, and how dare he's gone full mega, and how dare he, an athletic person like him, not follow the quarantine rules of COVID, and how dare he mentions Jeffrey Epstein, how dare he mentions, you know, common well-known facts that are going on right now, how dare he brings that up. So Jimmy Kimmel blasted him for the fact that Aaron Rodgers acknowledged that there's a clientele list of Jeffrey Epstein. We all know that there's a clientele list. We all know that. It's not a mystery. It's not conspiracy that we know that Jeffrey Epstein had connections. He had famous figures. He had famous friends. And those friends tend to go on certain airplanes and go to certain islands. And they do certain activities with underage, children. We all know that that was a thing. We all know that that is an actual documented serious incident. And Aaron Rodgers bringing that up is not a conspiracy. It's actually a curiosity. And it's a curiosity that helps us understand how dangerous this is, how sinister this is. Exactly what Jeffrey Epstein is hiding from all these years. Why, the apparent suicide. Why there was so much criminal court cases against him. How he had so much connections. Why, why the establishment has such a blackmail tendency between so many different people. Is it because of this list? We don't know, but we'll never know if we don't find out. So that's what Aaron Rodgers pondered about that, and Jimmy Kimmel's like trying to smack it down. So they mention about this on the podcast. They joke around with it. And here's what Jimmy Kimmel had to say in response to this. Because Jimmy Kimmel saw this, and instead of just letting it be, instead of him just walking away and saying, they're just saying random crap, Jimmy Kimmel pounced on Aaron Rodgers. And the way he pounced on Aaron Rodgers makes him more suspicious of what they're saying. It makes us more suspicious that maybe the NFL quarterback is onto something. Because listen to this. So Jimmy Kimmel responds, "Dear assholes," with an extra A, because apparently he doesn't know how to spell. "Dear assholes. For the record, I have not met, flown with, visited, or had any contact whatsoever with Epstein, nor will you find my name on any list other than the clearly phony nonsense that soft-brained wackos like yourself can't seem to distinguish from reality. Your reckless words put my family in danger." He's saying this about podcast hosts making a joke that they're putting his life at danger. And again, if it was no big deal, if Jimmy Kimmel was not on this list and he was actually proven innocent, then why are you saying this? Why are you pouncing back on this? Because if you weren't associated with Epstein, if you're not associated with any of this, you would just walk away. You just let bygones be bygones. They're just making crap up. Just walk away and live your normal life. But Jimmy Kimmel insisted on attacking Aaron Rodgers. Insisted on pouncing on Aaron Rodgers for bringing this up, which makes us think that there's some sort of suspicion of this. And he also followed that with, "Keep it up. We will debate the facts further in court." In court. So not only is he attacking Aaron Rodgers for bringing this up, but he's also threatening to sue him. Just on the basis that he is knowledgeable about this well-known connection of Jeffrey Epstein, celebrities, high-profile people, and this island of sex trades. The fact that Aaron Rodgers is knowledgeable on this and brings this to account, and Jimmy Kimmel is pouncing on this, makes this look absolutely suspicious. And maybe that Jimmy Kimmel is trying to hide something from this. Maybe Jimmy Kimmel is part of this group. And the reason that he's so angry at Aaron Rodgers is because they have tried to hush this for so long. And now the fact that everything's being revealed so instantaneously, it is horrifying to people like Jimmy Kimmel. It is horrifying to people like Bill Gates, to people like Bill Clinton, to people like Donald Trump, to people like Bill Gates, to people like Tom Hanks. There is a slew of people on this list that have tried for years because they knew eventually that at some point everything was going to be revealed. So they did everything that they could to keep this in the dark, in the darkest way possible. And now that this is being revealed, that the clientele list is finally being out in the open, we can finally expose and put a spotlight into this disgusting sex slave cultish underage pornographic horrific scene that this was, finally getting a spotlight on this and finally holding people accountable. They're petrified and they need to jump into this. And again, if Jimmy Kimmel is true of his word and said that he doesn't have associations with this, why is he so rash into, getting Aaron Rodgers sued? Which I would love to see how that lawsuit would go. How would it go that a multi-million-dollar NFL quarterback is about to sue a late-night talk show host? I wonder who's going to win that argument. I wonder who has the better lawyers. That would be a very interesting tell. That would be a very interesting case. But we know that Jimmy Kimmel is notorious for making these wild accusations and claims. Because remember when Jimmy Kimmel, during the pandemic, Jimmy Kimmel made awful statements like how he said that unvaccinated people should not get ICU beds in hospitals. He told Americans, everyday Americans, that because you are not cooperating, you're not complying with the big pharma ordinance, that you should just die on the streets. I'm sorry, we just don't have enough beds for you. And rather than a sane person saying, hey, why is there not enough beds for people like that? Maybe we should increase the spending in hospitals. Maybe we should invest more in better health care. Rather than having a rational conversation, Jimmy Kimmel just said, go die. Screw you, asshole. Go die. I think his exact words were, rest in peace, Wheezy, or something like that. Like, how stupid that was. He's trying to make a lighthearted joke. Like, how dumb and ridiculous you have to be. Again, I find it insulting that they consider Jimmy Kimmel a comedian. I find that really insulting. The fact that there's talented actual comics, people that dedicate their lives to writing funny jokes and telling funny jokes and stand-ups and theater, and Jimmy Kimmel is considered a comedian. They just slap that label to anybody. Like, holy crap. And by the way, if there's really no connection with Epstein, I give you a little presentation here of how there's video surfacing of Jimmy Kimmel with Jeffrey Epstein's personal chef. With his personal chef. Now, I know that seems kind of strange that why would a personal chef that happens to be associated with Jeffrey Epstein be so controversial? Well, that's from Newsweek, but here's what the Daily Beast has to say about this. Because on a particular day, Gulfrey, that's Virginia Roberts, was looking for Adam Perry Lang, that's the celebrity chef, the chef and barbecue expert behind an infamous Hollywood steakhouse, APL. Lang's hotspot is backed by one of his besties, late-night host Jimmy Kimmel and community actor Joel McHale. His resumes include appearances on Kimmel's Show, nods from Oprah Winfrey, and a spot on the New York Times bestseller list for the book Serious Barbecue. But to Gilfrey, Lang was Epstein's personal chef and someone she considered a friend. Lang sneaked pizza to her after Epstein, who controlled the diets of women he abused to keep them prepubescent thin, and fell asleep upstairs. So, my question to Jimmy Kimmel, and my question to other celebrities that are pouncing on this and applauding Jimmy Kimmel for whatever outrage that he's in, if you knew let's say you didn't go to Epstein Island. Let's just devil's advocate. Let's say you didn't actually go to Jeffrey Epstein's island. You have no association with him. The fact that we know in news reports that Jeffrey Epstein has been criminally charged with pedophilia. We know that Jeffrey Epstein has been charged with sexual rape of minors. This is way before, back in like the 2000s, that Jeffrey Epstein was criminally charged. Knowing that, and Jimmy Kimmel knowing that, why would you be hanging out with employees that worked with Epstein? If you know that Epstein is a insane global conspirator of sexual pedophilia, if you know that, why would you be hanging around with his employees that were interacting with Epstein, that was helping aid the sex trafficking? Why would you be friends with that? And again, I ask, if you have nothing to hide, why would you be pouncing on Aaron Rodgers and threatening to sue him if you're the innocent one? So this is the big mystery. This is the big mystery. I can't prove or deny that Jimmy Kimmel is on this list. I can't say that Jimmy Kimmel partaked in Epstein Island. I can't say he flown on the Lolita Express. I can't prove any of that. You have to look for that for yourself. But just keen observation of this is that if you're pouncing this hard on something that you claim you did not do, it's really showing that you really have something to hide, and you're trying to do everything that you can in your power to keep it hushed, to keep it silent. You're scared that Aaron Rodgers said something, and it's going to threaten your family. If there was nothing, why would you be scared for your family? Why would you be scared for the reckless words in Jimmy Kimmel's, wording, for the reckless words that Aaron Rodgers is spewing out? That's the thing. That's the big takeaway. That's the telling of this. And why would you be friends with his personal chef if you know that Jeffrey Epstein is the sycophant that you claim you already knew and that you try to avoid? Why would you be friends with people that were associated and work with a master pedophile? So maybe Aaron Rodgers was onto something. Maybe he wasn't. But it just seems all way too suspicious for Jimmy Kimmel, the late night talk show host, not comedian, just a talk show host, to pounce right on him. It just seems way too suspicious for him to pounce on him and claim that he's innocent. Just seems way too suspicious.